In today's jazz guitar lesson, we're going to be looking at a very cool Bossa Nova chords progression, and I'm going to show you how to build up one of the most useful Bossa rhythm patterns step by step.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Hi, Greg O'Rourke from FretDojo, where I teach you how to play jazz guitar and take your playing to the next level. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on my new videos, and if you find value in what I'm teaching you today, please smash that like button. If you can play one Bossa Nova pattern well on guitar, you can play them all, I think. So today I'm going to show you one of the most useful Bossa Nova patterns that I tend to use when playing Brazilian guitar at gigs. Stick around to the end of this video because as a bonus, I'm also going to give you some very useful jazz chord voicing tweaks to help make your playing instantly sound more authentic and in that cool Brazilian style. Let's go to a close-up and build out this Bossa Nova pattern step by step. If you want the PDF of all the exercises that we're covering in today's video, click the link in the description below this video. Okay, so you can see the exercises here on your screen. I'm actually going to scroll down to the final one because I want to give you an idea of what we're going to end up being able to build as a result of the exercises that we're going through in this lesson. Let's hit it. Okay, so there's one we prepared earlier, but let's build this up little by little. We're going to start with exercise 1 that's on this PDF here, and it's just on a basic D major 7 chord. It's pretty easy in the left hand, but on the plucking hand, we've got a bit of fingerstyle work to do. I'll show you what this little exercise sounds like. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, as you can see, I'm using fingerstyle to play these patterns, and fingerstyle really is the preferred method for Bossa Nova comping. Otherwise, you'll find it quite a bit awkward, especially if you're not used to it, trying to pluck the bass with your pick while using the other fingers for the other notes of the chord. So it's best if you stick to fingerstyle. I suggest to, a really basic getting started is just try to play all the notes together like this. So you can see my thumb is always playing the bass notes, and I'm just holding that first chord in this pattern. So get used to playing all the notes together with all these 4 fingers, your thumb, index, middle, and ring. Now that can take a bit of time to get used to, so don't worry if you can't do that straight away. What you should try next is then alternating between the bass note and the fingers. So we're going to play the bass note there, and then the fingers on top. So playing together and alternating is a great little preparation for this exercise that you see on the screen. So what we might do is just start by playing the bass. Okay, play that along with me now. I'm going to give you 4 beats count in. We're not going to worry about the top fingers yet. Let's build this pattern now, but just starting with the bass notes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3. I'm going on a loop there. Okay. So now, once you have the bass established with your thumb, it's time to put the upper voicings on top. This is the thing about Bossa Nova chords progressions, is that you always have the bass playing every 2 beats, and it's on the downbeat of 1 and 3, and then the fingers might be doing all sorts of interesting syncopated stuff in the top, but that bass is what gives the whole thing that nice even rhythm feel. And so make sure you don't forget about that thumb working away in the bass there. Alright, so now to put this pattern together, you play together and then just the tops of the chords in the second beat, and then you go bass top like that. So together, top, bass top like that. Let's try that a couple of times before we move to the next pattern. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together, top, bass top. Together, top, bass top. Together, top, bass, top. All right. Have a go at that for a little while. Once you've got that ready, maybe pause the video and try that for a couple of minutes. Once you think you're ready, keep going and let's play it along with the actual backing track. Okay, so now let's move to the next exercise. I'm going to call this 1A because it's so similar to that first one you learnt. Now, the only difference compared to the first pattern is this time we're alternating the bass. So instead of just sticking to this D note on the 5th fret of the 5th string, in the bass, we're alternating from the D to the A, which is just the next string across on the same fret. So you can see me move like this. So now you've got one more thing to think about. Let's start by just doing this pattern nice and easy, but play along with me. I'll count you off and let's see if we can get that alternating bass happening. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So practice that for a little while. Once you've got that, try to play it up tempo along with the backing track like what I'm going to show you now. Okay, we're very nearly there. We're nearly to the point where you're going to be able to play that pattern that you heard me play at the start of this lesson. So this is just adding a little variation. Now, it's good to stick to a steady groove with Bossa Nova, but sometimes it's nice to mix up things a little bit and put a little bit more syncopation in those top notes that you're playing with your fingers. So instead of just going like this time, this one adds a little bit more syncopation. Have a listen to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got together, so I'm going to mark that with a T here. Okay, I might put that below this. So T, and then that we're going to do, I'll just call it the up notes, up there, and then bass, up, up. So that's how that one goes. Together, up, bass, up, up. Okay, let's try that, just that bar. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together, up, bass, up, up. All right, one more time. Together, up, bass, up, up. Very cool. Now the last bar, these notes are hanging over here, so we just need to go the bass by itself while those notes are ringing over, and then we've got the top notes, which I'll call up, and then bass up. Now it looks complicated on the score, but when you really listen to it and play along, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you follow those little cheats there. Apologies for my poor writing. I'm just getting to grips with my screenwriting skills. I can probably play guitar a lot better than write. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together, up, bass, up, bass, up, bass, up. Again, together, up, bass, up, bass, up, bass, up. Bit of a tongue twister, but if you play along with me like that a few times, I guarantee this pattern will fall quite naturally under your fingers if you try it. Okay, so now let's try this one up to tempo with the backing track so you can hear what it sounds like in context. Oh, I can feel it. We're getting so close to our ultimate Bossa Nova chords progression pattern. But let's keep going here. We're going to do the same thing that we just did, but all we need to do now is alternate that bass note. So it's exactly the same pattern, but instead of sticking to that static bass note on the 5th string with that D note, we're going to alternate the thumb back and forth. Have a listen to what it sounds like slowly first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Together, up, bass up, bass up, bass up. Okay, so very similar to what we did before, just alternating that bass. This is an important foundation for what we're going to do in the final exercise. Let's see what this one sounds like to that backing track. Groovy, baby. Let's head on now to exercise 3, the final one. And just a reminder that you can get a PDF for all these exercises by clicking the link in the description below this video. And while you're there, make sure you give me a nice thumbs up like, as it helps the YouTube algorithm and all that sort of jazz. All right, so this final exercise is quite interesting. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated, so bear with me. We've got a few chords to deal with now, not just that D major 7. We've got D major 7 as the first one, but then we've got B flat diminished 7, like that. Then we've got A minor 7, and then we've got D7 flat 9, and then finishing with the, oh, if I can get it on camera, the G major 7. All right, but what's interesting about this pattern, and I'll just notate this here for you, is that just before we get to the start of each bar, on a couple of these anyway, we're anticipating to the next chord. Okay, so here's your little bonus tip, right? If you want to sound really hip with this Brazilian style, it's really nice to grab the chord voicing on the upbeat to the next bar. Okay, so you can see here, I actually change early to the B flat diminished 7. I'll show you what this sounds like in a moment. On the A minor 7 bar, just before we get to the D7 bar, I am anticipating it here by half a beat once again. Now have a listen to what that sounds like. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. How cool is that? It really brings a lot of life to the pattern by anticipating the chords sometimes. You don't need to do it all the time, but it's really useful to throw that in as a cool little feature. It keeps the rhythm swinging. Okay, so let's look at how to play this pattern now. Now it's very similar to the pattern that you did in the previous example. This time we're just changing the chords and we're adding that little upbeat change on some of the chords. So this sounds like this. Together, up, bass up, change, bass up, bass up. Together, up, bass up, change. Kind of hard to say that and play it at the same time. Have a listen to me play it without me talking all over it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and. Awesome. Now, one final little tip with this is sometimes it's nice to move the notes in the chord throughout the pattern. Okay, so what I mean, this is that little kind of extra bonus tip I was talking about, number 2 here, right? So what we're doing here now is I can play this. Maybe I'll choose a different kind of chord voicing for that diminished chord. I could maybe put my little finger up on the 7th fret instead on the F sharp there. So maybe I could go. That's a little bit of a different pattern, but can you hear how by changing the little notes in those top notes that I was using in the voicing there, and then going, it makes a nice little sort of melodic line. It's almost like a little sort of melody inside the comping. So if you can look at ways to do that, it can really bring this comping to life, combining this idea of the upbeat anticipations with adding those extra little notes here and there. Anyway, I won't do that now to demonstrate this final pattern. I'm just going to play it just as it's on the page. Let's see what it sounds like, and yeah, let's go from there. Alright, cool bananas. Now let me show you this kind of pattern that we've learnt today in context. I'm going to play a little bit of the lovely jazz standard, How Insensitive, so you can hear how this pattern can be applied. And I'm going to be using a few of those tricks that I showed you towards the end of that last pattern there. So let's give that a go so you can get inspired by what's possible with this amazing comping rhythm pattern. At this point, I want you to leave a comment below this video to let me know your favorite bossa nova tune. Make sure you leave a comment wherever it is, whether you're watching this on my website or on YouTube or whatever, so that I can get a sense of the kind of bossa novas that you might be interested in learning, and I could do specific lessons on this channel about those. So make sure you leave that comment, and remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed today's content, and make sure that you get your free PDF by downloading it via the video description in the link below to get a copy of all the exercises that we went through in today's video. Okay, well, without further ado, my name's Greg O'Rourke. Subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.